Good morning, my name is Karen Kong and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to my Crafting to Go series for the month of March. This week is card number 4 and this is the card we're making today. So it's a fun fold, very easy easel card, so it folds flat for mailing like this and then it pops up for display like that. So I think the people who like displaying their cards on the shelf or wherever are going to enjoy receiving this card. So if you've joined me before, in last year I used to do this or that Thursdays where I'd make 2 cards and have you guys choose which card for me to make on Thursdays. But now I am doing a Crafting to Go series, which is a series of 4 cards for each month and based on a single bundle. And then if you make a purchase with me, make an order with me sometime before the qualifying period ends for each card kit, I will send you all the pieces for the card kits for all the cards that I make that month for free. So you can join in and make the cards yourselves by following along with the videos either on Facebook, or you can find them on YouTube after Facebook deletes the videos. Good morning, Shelly. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, so just give me a second while I set up my computer so I can see all your comments while we are crafting together. Please ask me questions, join in the conversation, because it's no fun just talking to myself. And tell me where you're watching from. I love to hear where you're watching me from. Okay. Just getting this set up. Okay. Good morning, Tara. Thanks for joining me. All right, my computer is set up. Let's move over to my desktop so that you can see what we are making this week. Close your eyes while I just mount my camera overhead my desk, okay? Just a second. So I brought along the first 3 cards from the series, just for those who are just watching for the first time. So there's 4 cards in the series for my Crafting to Go kits. These were the first 3 cards for the first 3 weeks. So we had one where I made little pop open umbrellas. The second one was another fun fold. Okay. Last week's was this card, so very simple. And this week is another fun fold. So again, this is an easel card and it's propped up like this. So originally I had planned to use something here, possibly the umbrella or the leaf die that comes with the set, but I combined this with the beach day set. So if you'll see here, these are the rolling waves and the beach day sets that I used for this this card. So this one's retired. So I love mixing and matching older sets with newer sets to produce something new. So that's the set I pulled out and I really wanted to use. And I used the edges of the waves to be able to prop up my card, okay? So when I first made this card, I only used 1 layer for the water behind here, and then put the froth on top. So that's 2 layers of cardstock. But today, just to give it a little bit more like a lip to hold up the card, I added an extra layer behind here. Okay, so I cut 2 layers of the pool party underneath here. Okay. So it's really easy. It's a regular card base. You just score it twice and then it bends, and then you just attach your mat only on the bottom section, and it's super easy to make. Okay, so let's talk about how I made some of these components, because when you receive the card kit, I will already have created these for you. But if you're making this with your own stash and you want to know how I made it, this was pretty easy. So this is just a piece of pool party. And I used 2 pieces. So I actually glued 2 pieces of the same size together. And if you're watching for the first time, don't worry, I will put all the measurements in my video description after the video is completed. and you can find them there. But this is 2 pieces of Pool Party glued together just to give it a little bit more lip on the edge here, and then I created my froth that goes on there by blending on Pool Party on the lower half of my strip of white, okay? And I leave white space at the top so that when I die cut it, the edges are white, okay? So that's pretty easy to do. What else did I do? Oh, you'll notice that the beach house, let's show you the beach house. Okay, so normally the beach house, when people create the beach house, actually it's the lifeguard hut, I guess, not beach house, but they put this railing here leading down to the sand, okay? And I didn't want it to take up so much room on my card, and I saw somebody else who placed this as sort of like a guardrail or railing around the side of the beach hut. So I keep calling it a beach hut. It's a lifeguard hut, I guess. And so I decided I would do the same thing. So that's what I did. And then the hut itself is die cut from the Country Woods DSP. So I used that as my base color. It's a Pool Party mixed with Crumb Cake, Expresso, early Expresso. So I die cut from there, and then I wanted the top of my little hut to be solid Pool Party instead of from the DSP, because then it brings out the detail more. So I die cut that separately. I just took a strip of leftover Pool Party, I die cut from there. So I'll show you how I did that. And if you didn't see how I created this umbrella last week, you can go back to last week's video, but I will be doing this again. It's just basically two umbrellas cut out in white and Petal Pink, and I cut out the little triangle sections out of the Petal Pink and glued it onto the white. So pretty easy. And then here we have sort of like a muted sun. When I finished making my card, I had all this white space, and I thought it just looked too bare, and I could not figure out what to put in there. I originally thought, okay, what kind of embellishments could I put there? But really, I didn't. I just couldn't bring myself to put like a solid gem or a sparkly gem, a butterfly. It just didn't seem to work for me. And then I realized that I could put like the outline of a sun. I'll show you how I did that using masking. So lots of techniques today, that little tricks and tips that you can pick up. But that's basically, I think, a lot of how I did this card. So you can fast forward through this, of course, if you're watching. But let's get started on actually making the card. So my palette today is Calypso Coral, Petal Pink, Early Expresso, Pool Party, and Crumb Cake. Okay, let's make some room here. So I've already pre-cut a lot of stuff, and hopefully that will make things go faster, and that's how you would receive your kit as well. Okay, good morning, Sandra. Thanks for joining. You didn't miss anything. I just talked about all the components, about how I made this, the pieces for this card. So if you're interested, you can go back and watch that. But right now we are starting assembly. So I have my cardstock here. This is my base. So it is 5 1/4 by 8 1/2, not 5 1/2. Normally it is a 5 1/2 inch wide piece, which is exactly half of a sheet of 8 1/2 by 11, the standard size. But because the waves here, these wave, the dies, they only reach 5 1/4 inches. They don't reach 5 1/2. So I've been cutting my my card bases and whatever I need to fit the die cut, because I wanted it to extend the full length of the card. So I only cut off 1/4 inch. So it is 5 1/4, not 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I scored it at the usual halfway point and then halfway point on this section of the card. So 2 1/8, 4 1/4, and don't forget, I always provide the measurements in the video description, so you don't have to worry about writing them down. So I'm just going to burnish these folds. I'm going to fold this one in this way. Thanks, Sandra. Yeah, I really like this color combination. I saw it on a different card, and I really wanted to use that little pop of Calypso Coral to bring out the shells, and it worked perfectly with my Country Woods DSP that I used to cut the hut from. Yeah, Chile is so weird that they didn't make this the full 5.5 inches, so it's just weird. So I've been cutting everything down to 5.25, so that it makes it the full width. Okay, so I have folded these. Let's just put our waves together. So like I said, I cut my wave from a piece of white, and I blended on the Pool Party, and left the top half white so that you get like a frothy white along your wave. Okay, and this is two pieces of cardstock glued together, and then I took the edge of the so you remember this die in the set, the rolling wave set, and we wondered what it was for. This is perfect for what it's for, right? I wanted to make the edge of the water and attach this, right? So I needed that to cut my edge. Okay, so you can see the other side is blended, and I didn't like how that blending turned out, so I just turned it over and I did it again on the other side. Okay, so let me just put little dots of glue to stick this down, and you can also use adhesive backing before die cutting, and you can make this into a sticker. But I just feel like when it's such a big piece with many edges to line up, I prefer putting on the glue because it gives me an extra couple seconds to line things up before it's stuck on for good, and it just gives me that time to make sure everything is lined up properly, because you know how it is with tape or stamp and seal. Once one little edge catches, it could cause tearing if you try to lift it away and adjust it. So that's why I like to use glue. And I'll be asking the people using the kit to use glue as well, just so that you get the best results. I know there's a few comments coming up in the chat. I just can't read them right now because I'm concentrating on putting on the dots of glue. I'll have to catch up with you in a moment. Okay, I think that's enough. Hopefully that will keep it all stuck down. Oh, I'm going to put one more here. Sometimes you notice after you've glued it down, there's like one little section lifting because you didn't put a little bit of glue there. Looking for my tweezers. Here we go. All right, so I'm just sticking down that one side and then laying it down as I go, but still I have to wiggle it a little bit to make it, like here it's not lined up exactly, so I'm just gonna pinch a little bit with my tweezers, and now it's on properly. Okay, so that was easy. And now I'm just going to stick it onto the bottom of my cardstock. Okay, so this is the side with the two score lines. This is your base, and I did think about putting white back here to do right on, or even up here, but I actually wanted to leave it. I decided to leave it just all crumb cake because I want it to all look like sand. So you could add some of the sand dots on there if you wanted afterwards, but right now I'm just going to leave it plain sand. Sandra, you're asking if I could use an adhesive sheet on this foam or froth. If you're talking about the piece I just glued on, I think, well, I was just saying that I was using glue as a preference because it lets me line it up. I could use adhesive sheet here if I guess I wanted, but it's pretty easy to add glue to this one. Okay. So let's just line that up. So you see, like, even the edge of that little die here, it cut just a little bit short of 5 1/4, so I just had to snip it. There we go. So that's the edge. So now this gives me a little bit more lip to press the this against. Okay, the easel part. I'm going to burnish that fold a little bit better so that it will stand up a little bit better afterwards. Okay, and then this one as well. Okay, so let's work on assembling all the pieces for this front of the card. All right. Okay, I put all my little pieces in this dish here. So let's put together our little lifeguard hut. So as you recall, so I die cut this from the Country Woods DSP. Let me show you what it looks like. That's this set here. That's the original sheet that I picked to die cut from. Okay, so I didn't want all the detailing extending up all the way because I feel like you lose the detail of that die cut line there, showing you where the roof line is, right? So I die cut another, just a scrap piece of Pool Party, and I'm just going to snip off the part that I need, which is just the top part, right? Okay, so this is, and I'm just going to glue that on to the top there. And actually I'm going to put the glue right onto the little hut itself. I'm just using a very thin strip of glue. You don't need a lot to hold it on. Just placing that on top. I think that just brings out the wood grain on the rest of it better, and it visually gives you, you know, a better idea of where that roof line starts, right? Okay, so the feet for this little hut is here. I did, just so you know, I did do a little bit of shading here with the Crumb Cake. So I just brushed on some Crumb Cake to make it look a little bit darker and to give it some depth. Let me grab a scrap piece of paper. And you can choose whether or not you want to do that. It just adds a little bit of detail. Let me grab the Crumb Cake, because it is in the shade, right, technically, underneath. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of Crumb Cake shading. Okay. All right. I'm going to grab my silicone mat because I'm going to glue the top to the bottom, and I'm just going to put a couple of little dots of glue to hold it together. Just at the top here. Okay. And eventually that's going to be glued down onto the mat, so don't worry about it, you know, not being very much glue, because it's not going to go anywhere once it's glued down. Okay, I think that looks straight. All right, and then the last thing to put on is that little railing. Okay, so if you, I always put my pieces down before I start gluing, so I can see where I want it to lie. And then I realized also that I don't want to put glue on the outer sections, right? Because we want it to just stick to the hut. And even the hut itself, like here, the windows are right behind the top rail. So I'm just going to really concentrate putting glue in the middle sections there. You Because you ladies are talking about other uses for the idea that Tara had for spreading on glue. I love that you guys just keep sharing ideas. I don't have to come up with all the ideas. It's great that I have a crafting community that has so many great ideas that we can share. Okay, so I concentrated my glue on the sections in the middle, and I didn't put any along the top because I know it's going to go in front of that window area. Okay. Okay, I see a little glue is peeking out, so I'm just going to take the tips of my tweezers and I'm just going to take that off, and I'll clean those off on a piece of scrap. Okay, so we'll let that sit and dry. Let's get our umbrella out. So I die cut one piece in white. I already die cut another piece in Petal Pink, which I already used to create the first umbrella. So I'll just take this second half and I'm just going to snip it apart, and we'll make the next umbrella here. So I'm just lining up my blades with the cuts in the paper already, and snipping right along those lines so that I get the same alignment of the cut lines. There we go. All right. I'm just making sure these are all facing up, because as you know, the more you use your cut and emboss machine plates, they get scratched up, and those scratches kind of get transferred onto the paper. But it's on the back, so I'm just making sure it's face up, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my glue to the every other section on my umbrella, because I found that I was doing it the other way. I was putting my glue on the little die cut pieces of triangle, and then I immediately forgot what I was doing and laid them down next to each other on the umbrella. So this way I cannot do that. I'm going to put the glue on the umbrella directly in the sections that I want to glue. Okay, so now I'm just going to lay them down and line them up. There we go. So this week was kind of an exciting week for Stampin' Up. We saw the release of the new, well, actually, no, sorry, the digital release was actually last week for the upcoming May to August catalog. So if you haven't heard the news, they're moving away from having an annual catalog and just having, not just, they're having 3 catalogs a year. So no mini catalogs, just and no annual, but 3 major catalogs. So May to August, September to December, January to April. So we saw the digital release last week, and the May online exclusives. The pre-order started for that, as well as the new catalog pre-order started this week. So lots of exciting things to come. And if you're a demonstrator, you get to see that early, which is what I really enjoy, getting first glimpses and such. Okay, so I have a little seagull there, and I'm going to stamp him and die cut him. So I stayed with the color palette. I didn't, I was tempted to to stamp him in black, but in order to maintain the same color palette, I used early Expresso. And I don't think, you know, anybody's going to register that this bird is brown. And I'm wondering if there are any seagulls that are actually brown colored. I don't know, but I think it looks better for this this particular card. Okay, let's move that out of the way. He looks so good. I love that little bird. so I'm gonna have to die cut him. If you don't have this bird in your set, because I cannot send stamped images, you can find something else. I'm sure that you have like a bird or something else that you can put there. Those of you who are crafting with me in person can borrow my stamp set and stamp that little bird when you're here. Okay, so let's bring over my little mini guy. And we'll die cut him out. So every time I use this, I always forget which plates I need. And it's good that they always print these right onto the plates themselves. So I need 1 and 2s. Because it is a different sandwich from the big cut and emboss machines. So it's really handy to have the instructions right here, and I don't have to remember or worry that I don't have the right sandwich. Okay, so here's that stamp. Let's get that die out. Trying to find the die. Here it is. Okay, so let's die cut this little bird out. I'm going to turn him this way. I just find that if it goes underneath the rollers, like when it's a longer die, to put one end through first, and then there's less chance of it moving out of place. Okay. Oh, all right. It'll probably shift when I put this down too. Okay, so I'm actually going to use that in my favor. Nope, not gonna work. This is the reality crafting part where you can see all the real life problems that we all have. Okay, I think that's a good spot. I should remember to align them before I put them on the into the machine here, because it's easier to put it on when it's flat. Okay, here we go. So if you'd noticed, the sandwich here, I have put one plate farther back. That is specific to this machine. It needs to be able to grab on properly, so that's the way you need to create your sandwich, so it goes through properly. There we go, our little bird. Okay, let me just put that back, the die back into my case so I don't lose it. And we'll move this out of the way. That's the only thing extra that does not come in your set. Everything else you'll get pre-cut. Okay, so we need to do the blending for the background of this card. Okay, we have all our pieces here. I'm going to grab my white, and we need that scrap paper back again. And I'm going to choose to use this empty section here. So I have made the mistake. Here's another tip. If you make the mistake of using a previously used piece of paper and you have ink on it already, if you start to brush from the old ink onto your paper, it can transfer. So I found that out the hard way. I'll tell you now so that you won't have to. So I had transferred some color from a previous section that I didn't want onto my paper, so just be aware of that. Okay, let's start with the sand. We're going to create a sandy area. And I'm just going to ink up my brush. Okay, and I always start off to the side. I kind of tap it so that I don't have any blobs of ink. And if you want to avoid creating a ledge of like a darker ink here, I kind of start right on the edge of the paper, but I'm very, very light-handed with it. Or you can start off the edge of the paper and work your way onto it. That's what I see most people doing. But I'm just going to very lightly start in the corner here. And I think my sand is going to be about 1/3 of the sheet. And we'll leave the rest of it as more of a sky. think I need to go just a little touch higher. Okay, so a little bit more. Okay, so there's my sand, and I'm going to turn this around. Let's use this section here, and I'm going to use Petal Pink in the background. And this time I'm going to show you how I did the masking. Okay, so I originally created it without masking. So you're going to see this card where my sun is going to be brighter because it's because I did put some Petal Pink in here already to start, and then I added the sun afterwards, so it's not quite as bright, but it'll be brighter this time because I will mask the white before we start. So all I did was I actually took, you can use, there is masking paper, and I don't know where I put it, so I'm using just a Post-it note, and I took the Post-it note and die cut a little circle out of it. I have a beach ball in the beach day set, and it works perfectly. The die works perfectly to cut out this little circle, okay? So I cut it out of the tacky part of this Post-it note, okay? And I'm going to take this little circle, and I'm going to put it here where I want my sun. Okay, so I'm just going to double check because I do know I want enough room to put that sentiment, and I want to make sure I didn't put it too far over. So let's grab the stamp for that. Okay, and I know I want it to go around here, so I think that looks about right. I didn't want it too far over. Yeah, I think that looks right about where I want it to be. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to mount this while we're at it. Okay, so let's take our Petal Pink. We'll get the brush and ink it up, and I like to swirl it both ways to make sure the fibers are coated both ways on both sides of each fiber, right? Because sometimes if you switch swirling, you may not get the same kind of coverage if you don't ink it up evenly. So let's move that out of that blue area. Let's move it into here. Okay, so let's do the same thing. We're going to just lightly start brushing it on. And Petal Pink is very light, so it's not like the darker colors where if you you instantly get it like a blob if you didn't blot it before you start. So I'm going to ink up again some more. So I was tempted to use yellow, some kind of yellow, but I really wanted to stick with just that one color palette that I'm using of these colors. I didn't want to introduce another color because I really feel like it would throw it off. So pink is acceptable, I think, as a like morning sky, right? I think a little bit more on this side. And I'm going to meet the sand here. Okay, does that look dark enough? I think a little bit more here. All right, let's see how this looks. Ooh, look at that. There's my sun. Awesome. Okay, so let's assemble now. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment in early Expresso, or you can, actually, you know what, the first time I did this, I did actually, I'm going to put my scrap paper back in case I want to stamp off the edges a little bit, but let's lay out the pieces and we'll see where we need to stamp the sand and our sandcastle. I wasn't sure if it looked too busy or not, but I think it's okay. Let's move these. And we're going to use Crumb Cake for stamping. And I hid my, placed my umbrella just a little bit behind the hut so that I have a little bit more room to work with for stamping. So yeah, I think it'll be fine. Where's my sentiment? Let's put this here. Oh, I think it's a little bit too far up. Let's move it down a little bit. Right. Okay. Let's ink this up. That does not look inked up. I don't know why. I'm sure. Let's see. Oh, see, that's why we check. That is Crumb Cake, not early Expresso. I was getting ahead of myself. Here we go. Thank you, Tara, for the vote of confidence. Okay, so this is Crumb Cake. Let's clean that off first. And we'll get the early Expresso out. Okay. That looks better. I was wondering why it looks so transparent when I was inking it up. All right, so let's put this here. Okay. I really like the sentiments from the beach day set. Okay, and let's grab the sandcastle and such. That's from the beach day set as well. So that's this, and they have sand as well and little shells, but I didn't want to add too much detail there. So let's put in that little beach grass, whatever you want to call that. Okay. So I'm going to put this down here. So let's move this guy out of the way. There we go. And nope, I'm going to grab the sandcastle. Okay. I'm just going to put it right on the edge here. So cute. Now I need some sand as well. And I picked that up from, let's see which stamp set that was. I think it's actually might be from the, that is actually from the Rolling Waves set. So this sand here has no shells or anything mixed into it. I wanted just plain sand. So let's use that. Okay, and oops, it was not stuck on tight. Let me just stamp here for a second. I'm going to center it more. There we go. Let's make sure it's on. And, oh, I think I turned it around like this. I think, yeah, like that. There. So you can decide how you want to build your scene when you build this card. I'm glad you're excited, Sandra. These were fun to make. Oh, which set? Just putting it back. Okay, so now we can glue these on. Okay, so this is going to have to go in first. So I'm going to position my beach hut first. Here, perhaps, so that I know where I want to place this guy. I'm wondering why this... Oh, I had used an old piece of, a leftover piece of white. That's why it looks like there's a little bit of dark peeking through. But it can't really tell afterwards when you put it down. Okay, so let's make sure this shows our sandcastle. And I think I want it to be around here. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there so it'll help me position afterwards. Thanks, Janet. Thank you for joining in. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue and make sure that I don't cover any of the cut lines so that the glue doesn't peek through. I save a lot of scraps and, you know, cardstock or whatever that I've printed on. Like I think I printed something for my daughter and it didn't work out. So I knew that I could reuse it for my crafting and kept it. So I die cut from it apparently. Okay, so let's put this here. And I'm just going to use glue to attach this. I don't think I'm going to pop it up. Actually, I wonder how it would look popped up, actually. That might actually look really good. This is not actually going to be a very thick card, right? Because it does fold flat. So I think I might actually pop that up. Let's try popping it up. Something different. I like switching things up. After I've made like the first card and it's my template and I can see where I can make changes and improve. It's fun to just try out something different. Okay, so you see like my sun was different because I added that after the fact. Let's cut this. And we'll just try popping this up because I'm pretty sure this will be fine. Going through the mail because I don't know if you've had problems before with like really thick cards. You've had to pay extra postage because Canada Post says it's too thick to go through. Okay, I'm going to take a full piece over here. I think that will fit. Now my question is, how am I going to make those legs stand up, or are we just going to let them dangle? These little legs here. I don't know if I can cut something that skinny. Well, let's give it a shot. Maybe we'll just put on like a tiny piece at the end there. Here we go. This is going to be tricky. That's what tweezers are for. Here we go. Perfect. I'll trim off the edge of this dimensional. I do have foam strips, but if you remember, those foam strips are not... Oops, that just went flying and I have no idea where it went. It's probably stuck to something. Oh, who knows. Yeah, the foam strips are a different height from the dimensionals. Remember that? So I don't think I'm going to use those. Okay, let's see if I can keep this one from flying away. Wow, this is more of an adventure than I anticipated. I don't know where that piece, even though I covered it, because I couldn't hold on to it and cut. Okay, I don't know where the other half went. We are experiencing reality. Oh, here it is. It's stuck to the front of this card. Reality crafting. Thanks, Janet. If you were on earlier, you might have heard me say that I was struggling with trying to find something to fill that white space up there that wasn't an embellishment per se, because I thought it would be too overwhelming. And that's what it just hit me this morning that I could put a little sun up there. I left it overnight. I left it and I was not fully satisfied with it, and I knew I had to make this card today, and I was so happy when I came up with that idea this morning. Okay, so that can go right in the center. Oh, I'm sure this would be fine without the dimensionals behind it, but heck, why not make things challenging for myself? Okay, so that's stuck on that side. Let's put it up here. Oh, I think I have this one still sticky. It might be still sticky. See, there's a little piece sticking up here. Let me grab that. And if you're wondering what these scissors are that I'm using, they're actually Teflon blades on them. I think they are non-stick scissors, non-stick scissors. And that was a tip from Sandra, I believe. No, I think Tara actually had a pair and she didn't even realize it. So that you can cut sticky things and not have it gum up your scissors. Okay, so now I'm just going to take off all the backings and we can apply this. That one doesn't have a backing, this one does. And then these ones should be easy. Oh, Janet, you're in West Australia. Oh my gosh, watching from around the world. That's exciting. I have cousins living in Perth, and one day it's on my bucket list to visit them. All right, let's put this down. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to place this. I think that looks good. All right, that is looking good. We just need a little starfish there. I just wanted to add a little pop of color. And I've die cut that from the Rolling Waves set. Okay. Let me just get rid of all these little pieces, because you know that otherwise it's going to get stuck to my clothes somewhere and show up somewhere else. Unexpected, right? Okay, so let's just put a dot of glue behind this guy. So if you're in West Australia, Janet, that means it's nighttime there. It's the end of your day and just the start of ours. Okay, let's put this here. All right, let's put our card together. Okay, so I have a Crumb Cake mat. See, that's what I mean. Now Sandra's talking about the caddy that you guys all bought. I actually did not get that caddy. I don't have room for it on my desk, and it doesn't work with the components I have set up already. So, but I'm glad all of you made use of that handy caddy, and you're sharing all these tips with all of us, and we benefit from all of this shared information. Oh my gosh, you're waiting for a category 4 or 5 cyclone. Oh my god. Wow. I had no idea. Of course, like, we don't get the weather reports for all these locations around the world. I hope that everything is okay. And that's kind of scary. It's at nighttime that you can't really see what's going on. I wonder if my cousins are doing the same thing. Okay, so knowing that I am going to attach this here, I'm not going to guess at where I have to put on the back of this. I think Shalee was the one who reminded me that I could just put the adhesive right on there. So I'm going to use some tear and tape, and I'm going to put it where I expect this to be, because like if you put this here and just to see where it's going to be, you know that there's going to be about 1/4 of an inch gap. Okay, there's 1/4 of an inch gap all the way around, so you just apply your tear and tape to the sections that you know are going to be covered. Okay, so I'm putting it up against my crease mark, my score mark here, but not too close. Not over the crease. Remember, you don't want to prevent that crease from being able to bend, right? And here we go. And I'll put another small piece here to keep the sides from opening up. All right, so let's take these backing strips off. Oh, that lifted a little bit. I'm just going to press it down. Okay, and we're going to place this right on top. So I'm just going to lift this at a 45-degree angle so that I can see and line up my edges and my sides to make sure they're straight before I lay it down. Right. Okay. All right, so that way you can lift it like this and it will stand. So that's most of the card. I'm just going to add the last few seashells onto my card. Let's grab this starfish and the little clamshell. Wow, 200 miles per hour winds. That's crazy. It must still be very windy where you are. Like, you're probably hearing it. Okay, so let's add our starfish. So just, I'm going to place it here, and I want to make sure I don't put any glue on the tip of one of the tips here so it doesn't stick out, because it's not going to be attached there. Okay, let's take this and flip it, and I'm just gonna put it down here. Let's open this up all the way, it'll make it easier. Okay, and we'll add this little clamshell. You like that 1/4 inch edge there? You're talking about on the front, I think, right? like on there. Yeah, I wanted it to blend together so it all looks like sand, so that's why I stuck with the Crumb Cake for the base and for the matting layer. Okay, let's put that there. And that is the card. So this, now that I've added like a little bit more of that extra layer of cardstock behind here, it helps hold that card up better. But still, this still works, even with just the one layer, but it just stands out just a little bit more, I think, on the other side here. So that's the card today. Very, very easy to make. And I think it looks great when you display it. So yeah. So Sandra, I thank you for, you sent me that original card as an idea, and I was trying to make something similar, and it didn't quite work out with some of my ideas. I am still playing around with some ideas for a similar easel type card, but you sent me that original card where it popped open, and it opened up like a regular card, but everything popped up, and I wasn't sure if I had enough to fill a scene there. So this is what I came up with. And I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really happy with how the Country Woods DSP worked out as the little hut, and I really wanted to combine the beach day set with the rolling waves, and this is what I got. So yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed that, and if you have these sets or you have something similar, you're inspired to make something yourself, Janet, I really hope that everything is okay where you are and will be okay tonight, and that you won't have any damage. Power stays on. We have occasional tornadoes come through Ottawa, which has been very unusual in the past few years. So I can imagine that it's pretty scary not knowing if it's going to hit you or somebody else you know, but stay safe. Hope you are distracted with some crafting, and I will catch you next week. So I am done the Rolling Waves set for the month of April. It is dance competition season, and I'm not going to be, I'm not going to drive myself crazy with trying to manage that, and the kits, making more kits this month coming up. But I will be, I think I'm still going to be crafting, so I will be making some more with the sets that I have, and because I have some ideas for the Rolling Waves. I have one more idea with the Fun Fold, and I have the Sweet Bugs that I wanted to also use some of those, the DSP there. But stay tuned for May, where I am going to be bringing out the Cutest Crew. Okay, so this is coming for the May kit, and you can still get in on this if you want. Just message me and we'll get you in for a qualifying order if you want to get the pieces to make this card kit. So okay, so that's it for me today, and I hope your day goes well and you're crafting, and I will see you next week. Bye bye everybody.